Hey there, silly story here, bringing you another silly tale for everyone to enjoy. Title, Confessions on the Air. Hello, pretty people. My name's Kat, and I'm a self-proclaimed hopeless romantic. And I, of course, have a vlog dedicated to my endless search for romance in real life. So, when I found myself crushing hard, I knew I couldn't just tell him how I felt. No, I had to show him Romcom style. Luckily, I had my best friend, Sam, along for the ride, armed with a camera and his endless patience. He's my rock, my steady co-star, my personal eye roller, and, of course, my official camera guy. Together, we were about to dive headfirst into my latest and possibly greatest project, the Real-Life Romcom Challenge. Story begins. I'd always been the hopeless romantic type, the kind of girl who had watched When Harry Met Sally a dozen times and could recite half the lines from Notting Hill by heart. My friends rolled their eyes whenever I swooned at a movie proposal or planned meet cute. But I didn't care. Romance wasn't dead. It just needed a little more dramatic flair to bring it to life. And maybe, I thought, a nudge in the right direction wouldn't hurt either. So, when I decided to win my crush's heart by recreating scenes from my favorite romcoms, it felt like a foolproof plan. Just imagine recreating all those magical moments from the movies, only this time with me as the leading lady. It's like I'm bringing the silver screen to real life. I'd said to Sam, my best friend, and the most reliable person I knew, "This is going to be perfect." He just smiled, shaking his head as he adjusted the camera strap on his shoulder. Only you, Kat, would try to win someone's heart by staging romcom stunts, he teased, chuckling. But if anyone can pull it off, it's you. Just try not to get arrested, okay? Sam was my obvious choice to be the cameraman for my little adventure. Steady, dependable, and always down to humor my wild ideas. He was exactly the person I needed. He also had this uncanny ability to make everything look great on film, even when I was a total mess. Plus, I didn't have to worry about him judging my plans, at least not out loud. Instead, he'd flash that grin and play along, even if he thought I'd lost my mind a little. "I'm not saying it's going to work, Kat," he warned, still laughing. "But I've got front row seats for the entertainment value alone." So, with Sam as my sidekick, I started to sketch out my plan. The first few stunts were all mapped out little scenes that would grab my crush's attention in a sweet, totally non-embarrassing way, or so I thought. There'd be the Say Anything style boombox serenade, the surprise letter in his locker, and even a grand entrance down the school hallway, inspired by every classic slow-motion walk in film history. It would all be a part of my new vlog series, the Real-Life Romcom Challenge. As Sam and I got to work, he captured my excitement on camera, grinning as I bubbled over with ideas. "This is it, Sam. The moment when my life becomes the romcom it was meant to be," I said, practically glowing with anticipation. He raised an eyebrow, glancing at me with that look that said he was both amused and bracing for whatever chaos might come. "I'm just here to film the action. But something tells me you're about to make history," he said. Then added with a grin, "or at least a really great blooper reel." And with that, we were off armed with a playlist of movie soundtracks, a list of romcom moves, and an endless supply of optimism. What could go wrong, right? I started small with a Say Anything inspired boombox moment. I convinced Sam to be my camera guy, and after a little eye-rolling, he agreed, muttering something about filming history in the making. So there we were, staking out my crush's house with a massive boombox I'd borrowed from my dad's garage, ready to blast our song and let him know he held my heart. The plan was foolproof, that is, until it started to drizzle, and then pour. Rain soaked us in seconds, and my hair plastered to my face, mascara pulling under my eyes like a bad raccoon mask. As I stood there trying to look romantically tortured, Sam was shaking with laughter behind the camera. "Kat, this is too good," he gasped between laughs, almost dropping the camera. Then, out of nowhere, I heard barking. A small, fluffy dog bolted out of my crush's yard, yipping furiously. I froze as the ferocious beast headed straight for me. "Run, Kat! It's vicious!" Sam called, holding up the camera, filming my wide-eyed panic. I took off down the sidewalk, the dog hot on my heels, until I realized something. It was a chihuahua. I stopped, panting, and the chihuahua stopped too, giving me the stink eye. Sam was now doubled over, barely able to breathe as he laughed. "This is the content people live for, Kat," he snorted, tears of laughter streaming down his face. True, cinematic romance, running from a chihuahua in the rain. The next day, I went for a subtler approach with the classic "You've Got Mail" trick. I scribbled a heartfelt note, carefully detailing my secret admiration for my crush, and stealthily slipped it into his locker. Or so I thought. By lunch, I overheard two freshmen giggling about some bizarre love letter circulating the school. I groaned as I realized I'd put the letter in the wrong locker. And now it was being passed around like some viral mystery. Of course, Sam was right there to capture my humiliation. The entire school knows about your secret love now, Kat, he said, barely hiding his amusement. I buried my face in my hands. This is quality content. He laughed, patting my shoulder. I can't wait for the next disaster. Episode. So far, my rom-com challenge was a comedy all right, just not the romantic kind. And I had a sneaking suspicion Sam was loving every second. One of the most classic rom-com moves on my list was the bold, over-the-top public confession. You know, the one where the main character serenades their crush in front of an adoring crowd. I'd rehearsed for days, had the song down perfectly, or so I thought, and convinced Sam to set up the camera for me. I'd even practiced a little choreography. It was flawless in theory. I picked the perfect spot, a busy corner of the school courtyard right during lunch, and after Sam gave me a thumbs up, I took a deep breath and launched into my performance. I belted out the opening lines, and for the first few seconds, everything felt like it was going perfectly. But then, as if fate had it out for me, a passing high school marching band suddenly decided to join in, jazzing up my little solo with a full-on brass section. Trumpets, drums, even a clarinet or two. Honestly, it was magical. Except, the surprise accompaniment threw me off, and I immediately blanked. Like, totally blanked. My mind was a desert of forgotten lyrics, and all I managed was a few panicked la-la-la-a's as my face went redder than the sousaphone. And then Sam, who was supposed to be filming, mind you, just grinned and jumped in, singing his heart out like he'd been waiting his whole life for a spontaneous serenade. He grabbed my hand and twirled me, leading me through the song as the band, who clearly had no idea what was going on, just kept playing louder and louder. By now, the crowd was in hysterics, clapping and cheering as Sam turned my total flop into the most ridiculous duet ever. He even had the drummer play him a drumroll for an epic finish, dipping me at the end like we were in the finale of a musical. As we walked away, I could feel my cheeks still burning. Sam smirked, wiping an imaginary tear of pride from his eye. So, singing might not be your thing, he said with a mock-serious look, but at least I was here to save you from total public humiliation. Save me, I sputtered, still mortified. You were the humiliation. He just shrugged, the mischievous grin never leaving his face. Can't wait to see what's next on your love life bucket list. And with that, I knew my rom-com dreams were officially in the hands of a prankster. The funny thing about having Sam as my camera guy was that he started capturing moments that weren't part of any planned scenes. It wasn't until later, watching the footage back, that I realized he'd been sneakily filming me in all sorts of unfiltered, unflattering, utterly real moments. Like when I'd stare at my reflection and mutter pep talks before an epic romantic move, or when I'd catch myself doing some embarrassing, silly dance to hype myself up. One day, I had been rehearsing in front of a shop window, trying to perfect my casual yet mysterious walk for a grand entrance. I thought Sam was checking his phone, but the whole time, he was filming the awkward hand gestures, weird half smile and all. You know, you might need to work on that mysterious vibe, he joked, playing the clip back to me later. Right now, it's giving person with a backache. Then there was the time he caught me practically sleep-talking as I crammed for a test, staring at my notes with one eye open and murmuring, "The mitochondria is some kind of ninja." I was slumped on my desk, drooling on my notes, while Sam just watched, camera in hand, barely holding back laughter. "Kat, this is gold. This is what people want to see," he'd insisted, laughing his head off when he showed me the footage. One afternoon, while I was lying on a bench in the park, rambling about how my latest rom-com-inspired stunt had flopped miserably, he asked, "Why do you keep trying these over-the-top stunts? Wouldn't it be easier to just talk to him?" I sighed, rubbing my temples, not realizing he was still filming. Because real life isn't like a movie, Sam. Real life's messy, and I guess, sometimes, I feel like I need to be someone I'm not to make things work. He didn't say anything, but later that week, he called me over to his house to check out some footage. What I didn't expect was a mini-movie montage entirely of me. Me being ridiculous, quirky, clueless, and, well, me. There I was, singing off-key to myself, pacing nervously, making funny faces, and pulling out 5 different shades of lip gloss from my bag. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't glamorous, but it was me unfiltered and raw, the side I usually kept hidden away. By the time the video finished, I was a little misty-eyed. I looked at Sam, who was watching me with the soft smile that made my stomach flutter. "The comments are interesting, too," he said, casually scrolling down to show me all the responses. I blinked, reading comment after comment saying things like, These two have so much chemistry. And forget the rom-com stunts. You guys are the real love story here. Someone even said, isn't it obvious he's in love with her? Which made me laugh, though my cheeks were heating up fast. Sam leaned back, smirking as I laughed it off. So, what do you think, Miss Hopeless Romantic? He teased. I was still chuckling. But the truth was, something inside me had shifted, because seeing myself through Sam's eyes made me realize that maybe I didn't need elaborate stunts or grand gestures. Maybe, just maybe, being with someone who saw and actually liked all the little pieces of just me was better than any rom-com fantasy. It all started with a freak thunderstorm that had us bolting from school, and in the chaos, we somehow grabbed each other's bags. I didn't even realize it until I got home and unzipped my backpack, only to find an alarming amount of peanut butter, some loose socks, and a rolled-up poster of some guy's bicep from the school gym. That's when Sam called me, laughing hysterically. So, Kat, did you have a rough childhood? Because, I found your emergency blankie in here, and it looks well loved. Oh my God, I groaned, burying my face in my hands as I pictured Sam holding up my baby blanket. I had this tiny, embarrassingly faded quilt I'd been attached to since I was a kid. I kept it stashed in my bag, okay, for comfort. Not that anyone was ever supposed to know. The next morning, we met up to exchange bags, and I had my comeback ready. So, Sam, I said, holding up the crumpled romance novel I'd found at the bottom of his bag. Care to explain the romance fiction you've been hiding? Is this what the cool guys read these days? Sam's face turned about 10 shades of red as he tried to snatch the book from me. It's actually a pretty good story, he protested, laughing. And it was just, research. Yeah, research for understanding emotions or something. Below, right? And the peanut butter is to butter yourself up for all those romantic scenes. I teased, grinning as he turned an even deeper shade of crimson. He held up my blanket, a wicked grin spreading on his face. All right, blanket girl, if you're judging me, just know this goes both ways. You've got a lipstick collection that could stock a Sephora, and you think you're in a position to mock my literary taste. I couldn't help but laugh, reaching out to snatch my blanket back. Fine, we'll call it even. Just don't let my secrets slip, okay? Only if you keep my romance stash on the down low, he shot back, smirking. Who knows? Maybe someday we'll both need that research. For one of my big stunts, I had planned the perfect accidental run-in with my crush, wearing school colors to match his track uniform. Sam tagged along as my camera guy, but when he showed up, he was wearing, wait for it, the exact same shirt. Same colors, same cheesy school mascot. I gaped at him. What? He said, shrugging. It's Spirit Week. Can't be outdone by the theater kids. Just as we turned the corner, there was my crush, right in the middle of a crowded hallway, looking all cute and slightly confused. Sam and I attempted to separate to make it look less weird, but instead, we ended up shuffling left, then right, then somehow doing this awkward two-step shuffle in sync. My crush was watching the whole thing, eyebrows practically touching his hairline. Nice, matching outfits, my crush said, trying not to laugh. Before I could explain, Sam swooped in, wrapping an arm around my shoulders. Thanks, dude. He grinned. Cat here loves a good couple's outfit. I shot him a look that said I will end you, but he just waggled his eyebrows. Oh, yeah, totally, I said, laughing a little too loudly. We're, just super in sync. Sam and I tried to walk away, but we both turned the same way again, colliding in front of my crush, and earning full-on laughter from everyone around us. As we walked away, Sam was still cracking up, and it was contagious. I realized that laughing with him about my ridiculous plan was better than any serious moment with my crush could ever be. So, Kat, he said, nudging me, when's our next couple outfit day? Don't push your luck, camera guy. I shot back, grinning as he gave me a wink. After that, every romantic stunt started to feel less like a mission to win my crush and more like an excuse to spend time with Sam. He made every failed gesture hilarious, every awkward mishap light, and every day just better. The best parts of my vlogs weren't the ridiculous grand gestures, but those little, unplanned moments we shared behind the scenes. One afternoon, after another botched attempt at accidentally bumping into my crush, Sam and I were sitting by the bleachers. The sun was setting, casting a warm glow over the field. Sam was fiddling with the camera, adjusting the settings to get the lighting just right, and he had the soft, focused expression I'd never really noticed before. My heart did the strange little flip as he looked up, caught me staring, and raised an eyebrow with a teasing smile. Admiring my camera skills, he joked. I laughed, trying to cover the blush creeping up my cheeks. Maybe you're not so bad at this after all. He chuckled, his laughter so genuine it made my chest ache. That's when it hit me the way he was always there for me. How he laughed at my quirks instead of judging them. How every failed romantic moment actually felt perfect when he was beside me. All this time, I had been chasing the idea of romance, when the real thing had been right in front of me. All the moments I had been trying to create paled next to the ones I was actually living with Sam. As he went back to adjusting the camera, oblivious to my inner revelation, I found myself smiling, warmth spreading through me. Turns out, the perfect story wasn't the one I was trying to capture on film. It was the one happening between takes, when the camera was just a prop and Sam was the only person I wanted beside me. It was our last day of filming, and as we packed up the camera equipment, Sam gave me this look, one that had all his usual mischief, but something softer, warmer, lingering beneath it. "Kat," he said, setting the camera aside, "I have a confession of my own." I raised an eyebrow, trying to keep my cool as my heart hammered. "Oh, does this confession involve questionable rom-com stunts?" He grinned, shaking his head. "Not this time. Actually, I've realized that I don't need stunts to tell you how I feel. I've been a little bit in love with you since the day you nearly set the spaghetti on fire." I snorted, my cheeks flushing. "So, what? It takes a potential house fire for you to realize your feelings." "Well, it definitely didn't hurt," he said, laughing, stepping a little closer. "Plus, you're a danger in the kitchen, and I figured someone should be around to keep an eye on you." I laughed, realizing that every disastrous, embarrassing, and ridiculous moment had somehow, miraculously, led us to this. "Good thing I'm a hopeless romantic." "Then," I said, feeling a smile stretch across my face, "because I've been kind of crazy about you too, even if you are a terrible cameraman." "Hey, I'm fantastic," he said, feigning offense, then softened, taking my hand. And as we leaned in, the camera still recording, I couldn't help but laugh right before our lips met, because sometimes the best rom-coms are the ones we never plan, and apparently, the ones with a little pasta fire and way too much lip gloss. Our real-life romance challenge vlog series quickly became our most watched yet. Our fans had followed every twist and turn of our failed rom-com moments, every embarrassing stumble, every romantic mishap. And now, as we shared our final video, they got to see us, hand in hand, laughing and blushing through our real-life confession. In the weeks that followed, the comments were filled with fans rooting for us, reminiscing about their favorite moments, and quoting Sam's line about my infamous pasta incident. It seemed like everyone had been watching our story unfold, guessing the truth before we'd even realized it ourselves. One comment in particular caught my eye. "Guess the real rom-com was happening behind the camera all along." Smiling face with hearts. But it didn't end with the last video. Our real-life romance wasn't just for the screen, it spilled into every part of my life. Sam and I spent the rest of the summer creating new memories, some captured on camera, some just ours. We'd go out for ice cream and walk through the park as he reenacted every ridiculous, dramatic line from the rom-coms I dragged him into. He'd catch me singing to myself and playfully tease me, and we'd still find ourselves tangled in our own brand of rom-com moments that didn't require any recreating. We kept vlogging, but now it was about us adventures we stumbled into together, just being ourselves. And honestly, it was perfect, because sometimes love doesn't need a grand gesture or a perfectly timed song. Sometimes it's just there, behind the camera, laughing at you, offering a hand when you slip in the mud, or sharing peanut butter in a rainstorm. And I wouldn't change a thing. Story ends. Thanks for listening. Make sure to visit our YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this, show some love by hitting like, sharing it with someone you know, and subscribing so you can be part of this channel's journey. See you again for another silly story.